Happy New Year if this is yours, and if not, don't worry, there's lots more on the way. As we enter this season, there are so many occasions across the calendars of spiritual and religious living that we might be called to notice, celebrate, or give our attention to. Christmas is just one of them. I delight in uncovering and exploring the intersections of holidays and holy days. When we look at the intersection of all that's going on, it gets easier to see how one event, one way of practicing, has long rubbed up on and informed and been formed and shaped by that friction. I find it meaningful to enter this time with purpose and intention. Christmas is not a day, but a season. The holiday isn't happening to me, but I'm in relationship with it. It's an opportunity for deepening into my life of practice in a whole variety of ways. In this and many other UU communities, we're leaving behind the season of harvest and the theme of nurturing gratitude as we move towards December tomorrow and the theme of choosing hope. Perhaps we've been noticing the ways that our gratitude naturally gives way to generosity. It's almost like they planned it. First, a big old dose of countrywide gratitude, and then followed by the seemingly inevitable fireworks of gathering and feasting, and then the shopping frenzy. I mean, the giving opportunities unfurl before our very eyes. At this particular moment of transition from one theme and season to the next, I want to invite us to slow down, to look around, and to linger in the spirit of gratitude. This is not only a gateway to generosity, but an antidote to capitalist consumer culture. We are prepared to resist commercialism when we're in the habit of noticing that we already have enough and we already are enough. Gratitude grows our awareness and appreciation of our enoughness. Author and activist Joanna Macy illuminates this further, offering, "Thankfulness loosens the grip of the consumer society by contradicting its hidden but pervasive message that we are insufficient and inadequate." She continues, "The forces of corporate capitalism continually tell us that we are needy. We need more stuff, more money, more approval, more comfort, more entertainment. The dissatisfaction it breeds is profound. It infects people with a compulsion to acquire that delivers them into the cruel bondage of debt." She concludes, "So gratitude is liberating. It builds a sense of sufficiency that is quite subversive to the consumer economy. This is the gratitude I want to feel and fulfill with my life of practice, an ever-present spirit of thankfulness that is liberating and subversive, that frees me from feeling inadequate and chronically in need of more stuff, and instead reminds me that I am already good enough, I already have enough, and I already belong." This is not fluffy, frilly, easy-bake gratitude for beginners. This is gratitude as a spiritual discipline, and it's the perfect bridge to carry us over from nurturing gratitude into choosing hope. I remember a conversation from years back. I was a guest at dinner with family friends, old hippies, liberals, passionate activists for justice, when their college-aged son declared his intention to shift from studying pre-law to studying finance. As he shared his dreams of working on Wall Street, I watched his parents' faces fall with dismay. After a quiet moment, one of his moms said, "I hear that money is important to you, that this is something you now realize you value and desire. Tell me, what will be enough? How will you know when you have enough?" This was a loving family and a real question. It was the sort of question that could be a beginning or an end. In this instance, it led to our clearing the table in relative quiet, perhaps each of us mulling over our own answer. It's stuck with me ever since. How much do I really need? What will it mean to have enough? When I sat with Joan for the first time, she introduced her mother to me by remembering her aloud as the sort of person who thought 2 skirts and 3 blouses is enough. Joan, I want you to know I think of your mother now every time I open the abundance of my closet and can't find anything to wear. I'm so glad you shared that with me. It happened to be my birthday the first time I met most of Mary Ann's chosen family up north in British Columbia. After a night of potluck, mead, dancing around the fire, the matriarch, who's locally famous for having built her own log cabin as a young woman, she gave me 2 small gifts and a card that read, "All a girl really needs is a pair of earrings and a good knife." I've long considered getting a tattoo of my favorite bit of wisdom on what's essential, as it was regularly gifted to me by my Grandma Roxy. My dad was the first in his family to go to college, and I was the second. When I started out at NYU, I got a letter in the mail from Roxy, promising to send me $50 every month while I was in school. And at the end of the letter, she wrote, "P.S. Always keep a song in your heart." She kept her promise, and those wise words were at the close of every letter she sent me. Back then, I'm not sure which I needed more, the money or the good advice about what matters in this life. But I can tell you, I often leave home without a wallet, and I never go anywhere without a song. You want to see someone with $2, give you 1, spend time in unsheltered communities. When I was serving the folks at the encampments in Berkeley, one of my favorite fellas was a guy who went by the name Do It Moving. He was walking with me one day, and after watching him share his own good fortune in the form of dollar bills with a friend who'd slept through breakfast, he turned to me and declared, "Never have so much that you've got to stop to think about it before you give away half." Thank you, Do It Movin'. I'm still working to be as faithful and generous as you already are. But those are words to live by and a way of being worthy of our attention and consideration. Let me round out these myriad offerings on what is essential and what is enough with a contribution from John Muir. Writing to us from Alaska in 1880, he shares, "I am losing precious days. I am degenerating into a machine for making money. I am learning nothing in this trivial world of men. I must break away and get out into the mountains to learn the news." There isn't a one-size-fits-all version of what is enough to have, to give, or to be. There are as many possibilities as there are people. When we give gratitude our time and attention, we build a pattern, a pathway that helps us to realize and discern what is, for us, enough. The mountains. The knowledge that half of what we have would be plenty. The songs we bring and sing and share. A knife and a pair of earrings. 2 skirts and 3 blouses. What speaks to you? What rings true? What will be enough? How will you know when you have enough? Growing up UU and then having the opportunity to work with UU young people in a variety of ways, I have grown accustomed to teenagers who freely and proudly declare their identity as atheists. When I began working in youth diversion, I was entirely unprepared to hear nearly all of my young folks declare their love for God with the same pride. The pronounced difference between the 2 groups is income. Almost all of my diversion kids and their families were living well below the poverty line. Almost all of my UU young people and their families were meeting middle-class markers and more. In American consumer capitalist culture, there are very few things that we attribute worth and value to collectively, which are also free. And when you have nothing, God is something to have. It's a fine thing to be an atheist at any age. But I hope we will live with awareness that there's an element of privilege woven in to our ability to claim this way of being in the world. And may we never dismiss or diminish those for whom theism is a treasured possession, a primary source of the knowledge that they too are enough, even and maybe especially when our dismissal of theism or theists is a reaction to having been othered or wounded for our own identities, our own sources of enoughness and bases of belief. Pina Bausch, dancer, choreographer, philosopher, was always asking, what is all of this longing for? I don't know what answers she uncovered, but I know she held and danced and lived the fullness of that question. It's one of the things that most inspired me about her choreography. When I watched her movement, I could see that she turned towards the longing, leaned into it, rolled around in it, stayed curious about it. As a young dancer, I too was full of longing, and my instinct was to turn from it rather than towards it. With my back to the longing, I couldn't get to know and understand it. Instead, I accepted the names other people gave to my longing: scholarship, marriage, babies, achievement, financial success, goodness, even ministry. If we try to fill our longing with stuff or with other people's ideas and determinations of what is enough, that ache will never be answered, never be met. As candy never quite quells our genuine hunger, but exacerbates it. Similarly, our longing on a soul level will not be met with material goods. We need the real nourishment that comes from having fully explored the craving, the source of the longing itself, and tended to it. I came to know my own longing as indication and motivation that I had more to give, more to contribute. Gratitude for my longing led me to generosity. And when I turned towards the longing and embraced it, I finally came to know that for me, the answer to my longing is love. I have the gift of loving and being loved. This is what's at the center of the heart of all the genuine gratitude that flows through me and through my life. This is the antidote to a greedy commercial culture. This is the source of my own knowing that I have enough and I am enough. Love meets the depth of my longing and urges me onward. What meets your longing? How do you know that you are enough? As we live the questions and the answers in community, may we continue to grow together in spirit, reason, fellowship, and justice, with love at the center. May it be so. Amen. Amin. Ashe.